My aunt's diamond ring went missing, and instead of looking for it, she pointed straight at me, claimed I stole it. But what she didn't know, she had a camera, and I made sure the cops checked it. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. It started over spring break. I was visiting my Aunt Sharon's house in Wisconsin. She invited me to stay for a few days and catch up with the family. I thought it would be relaxing, just movies, home-cooked food, and time with my cousins. But that peace didn't last long. On my second day there, I was coming out of the bathroom when I heard Sharon yelling from her bedroom. A minute later, she came stomping down the hall, holding up an empty ring box in her hand. Her face was red, and her voice shook the walls. "It's gone! My diamond ring is gone!" she shouted. Everyone in the house rushed over. My Uncle Keith, my cousins Troy and Maddie, even my own mum and dad, who had come by to visit. Then, right in front of everyone, Sharon looked straight at me and said, "Callie, where is it?" I froze. "What?" "My ring, the one I always keep in this box. You were in my room yesterday folding your clothes. Don't lie. Just admit it." I couldn't speak. I hadn't touched anything. I hadn't even opened a drawer. I looked around, hoping someone would defend me, but the room was silent. I felt like the floor had opened beneath my feet. "No one else went near it," she continued. "Only Callie." The rest of the family started whispering. My cousin Troy gave me a weird look. My dad didn't say anything. My mum looked confused. I felt small, like I was shrinking into the floor. I tried to say I didn't do it, but my voice came out shaky and weak. I wanted to cry, but something didn't feel right. Why would she accuse me so quickly? Why was she so sure I was guilty? And then I remembered something. A blinking red light in the guest room where I was staying. A small camera, mounted in the corner. I noticed it my first night, but didn't think much of it. Now it was all I could think about. If that camera worked the way I thought it did, it would have recorded everything. Maybe even who actually took the ring, or where it went. I kept my mouth shut and nodded. I let them believe what they wanted to believe. But in my head, I was already planning my next move. Let them talk. Let them whisper. The truth was sitting on a memory card somewhere in that house, and I was going to find it. After the accusation, everything changed. My parents, Victor and Denise, didn't even ask me if it was true. They just looked at me with this strange mix of disappointment and embarrassment, like I had done something shameful and they didn't want to be connected to it. My mum barely met my eyes. My dad just said, "We'll talk at home," in a low voice, and walked away. Troy, my cousin, used to joke around with me all the time. Now he made snide comments whenever I passed by. "Better lock your doors," he muttered once loud enough for me to hear. I turned and stared at him, hoping he'd take it back, but he just smirked and walked away. Maddie, the youngest in the house, used to sit next to me during family dinners, always showing me her drawings or asking about college. Now she barely looked up from her phone. When I said hi, she gave a weak smile, then turned away. That hurt more than I thought it would. I tried to talk to Jesse, my boyfriend. At first, he seemed supportive. He texted me saying, "I believe you," but when we talked on the phone that night, his voice was different. "Callie," he said slowly, "just tell me the truth. If you took it, we can fix it. I just need to know." I hung up. That was the moment I realized I was alone in this. Even the one person I thought would be in my corner had doubts. A few hours later, Uncle Keith knocked on my door. "It's better if you go home, Callie," he said, "just until this is cleared up." I nodded and packed my things with shaking hands. I didn't even know what I had done to deserve this. I had come to visit family. I had done everything right, and now I was being treated like a criminal. As I closed the car door and looked back at the house, I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't just sad. I wasn't just humiliated. I was angry. I drove home crying, but in the back of my mind, one thought stayed sharp and clear. They all believed her, but they were going to regret that. Back home, everything felt quiet, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of silence that presses on your chest and makes your thoughts too loud. I stayed in my room for most of the week, didn't go out, barely ate. My phone buzzed with messages, but I didn't have the energy to respond. At college, my friends noticed the change immediately. "You okay?" my roommate Jenna asked. "Just tired," I lied. In truth, I wasn't just tired. I felt broken. I kept replaying that moment over and over. Sharon's voice accusing me, the looks from my parents, Troy's snide comment, Jesse's doubt. I thought about Maddie avoiding my eyes like I was something scary. It all looped in my head like a bad dream. And to make it worse, Sharon wasn't done. Word got back to me through family friends that she was still spreading the lie, telling people I'd stolen her ring and probably sold it, that she was heartbroken someone so close to her would betray her trust. She even told people she'd been too kind to let me in her home in the first place. I didn't know how to defend myself. I didn't have proof. But then I remembered something, the blinking red light in the guest room. It had been there the entire time I was staying at her house. I wasn't sure what it was at first, but I suddenly remembered it clearly. It looked like a small security camera. I had even noticed it pointing toward the hallway door and dresser. My heart sped up. What if it had caught something? What if that little light was the only thing standing between me and the truth? I started searching online. I remembered Sharon bragging a few months ago about upgrading her home. She had posted about it on Facebook, something about feeling safer than ever with her new security system. I scrolled through her old posts and there it was, a photo of the box her system came in and a caption that said, "Full audio and motion-triggered video. Finally, full audio, motion-triggered video." My mind started racing. If that system was working while I was there, then it had to have picked up everything. When I was in the room, when she was, maybe even when she hid the ring herself, if that's what she did. I stopped feeling helpless. My sadness didn't go away, but it was no longer in control. Something sharper took its place. Hope. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I knew then that I had to act. Not scream, not post online, not start drama. Just prove the truth, quietly, clearly. Let Sharon keep talking. Let everyone think what they wanted. I was going to find out what that camera saw, and once I did, everything would change. I walked into the police station with shaky hands and a knot in my stomach. Everything in me wanted to turn around and go back home, but I knew I couldn't live like this, being called a thief by my own family. I went up to the front desk and asked to speak to someone about filing a report. A few minutes later, I was sitting across from Officer Marlene Hobbs. She looked to be in her late 40s, with short, curly hair and kind but tired eyes. She listened carefully as I explained everything. How my Aunt Sharon accused me of stealing her diamond ring, how my family turned cold, and how I remembered seeing a blinking red light in the guest room. "So you believe there's security footage from your aunt's house that might clear your name?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling. "She had a security system installed not long ago. It has audio and video. I think it might show who really took the ring." She didn't rush me, didn't roll her eyes or look away. She just nodded slowly and said, "All right, let's take a report and see where it leads." After I signed everything, Officer Hobbs said they would reach out to Sharon for permission to review the footage, but I wasn't holding my breath. I knew how stubborn my aunt could be, and I was right. When they called her, Sharon was full of fake concern. She told them she didn't think it was necessary, claimed I was confused and going through something. She even said she'd already moved on and didn't want to cause more trouble. I thought that would be the end of it, but Officer Hobbs wasn't letting it slide. She called back, again and again. And after a few days, Sharon finally gave in, probably thinking the footage would back her up and show me snooping around. I could only imagine the smug look on her face when she agreed. She really thought she was about to prove I was guilty. But she didn't know what that camera had actually caught, and I had no idea that the truth was about to hit her harder than she ever expected. When Officer Hobbs called and asked me to come back to the station, I didn't know what to think. My stomach turned the entire drive there. I kept wondering, what if the footage was blurry? What if it didn't show anything at all? What if this was all a waste? But deep down, I clung to a tiny thread of hope. I needed something to prove I wasn't the liar they said I was. Officer Hobbs met me at the front with a serious look on her face. No smile, no small talk. "Come with me," she said quietly. She led me into a small room with a monitor already set up. I sat down and she clicked play. There it was, the living room of my aunt's house, days before I had even arrived. Sharon walked in wearing a robe and holding a cup of tea. She glanced around, then walked to the mantel where the little wooden ring box usually sat. She opened it, took out the diamond ring, and paused. Then came the part that made my whole body freeze. She muttered under her breath, just loud enough for the camera's mic to catch. "Let's see how you like being the black sheep, Callie. That'll teach you." My hand flew to my mouth. I couldn't breathe. She didn't just lie about me. She planned this. She wanted me to feel humiliated. She wanted everyone to turn on me. In the next part of the footage, she walked straight to her sewing kit in the hallway closet, lifted the top tray, and tucked the ring underneath some spools of thread. She closed the kit, walked away, and that was it. No one else appeared in the footage. Officer Hobbs paused the video. "I'm sorry you had to see that," she said. "This wasn't just a misunderstanding. That woman set you up." I felt hot tears fill my eyes. For days I'd questioned myself, wondered what I'd done wrong, if I had said something to make Sharon hate me. But now I knew the truth. It wasn't about anything I did. It was about who she was. Deliberate cruelty, cold, calculated betrayal. I sat there, shaking, as the weight of everything hit me at once. My family believed her. They looked at me like I was trash, and all the while, she was laughing behind closed doors. That moment changed everything, and I knew this wasn't over yet. I didn't scream. I didn't post a rant online or show up at my aunt's door yelling like part of me wanted to. I was tired of being seen as emotional or dramatic, so instead, I stayed calm. I looked at Officer Hobbs and said, "Can you show her the footage?" "Officially," she nodded. "We can pay her a visit." That was all I needed to hear. A week later, I got the call. Officer Hobbs and another officer had gone to Sharon's house with a copy of the footage. They told her this wasn't a criminal investigation yet, but they wanted to give her a chance to explain herself. Sharon, apparently full of confidence, opened the door and welcomed them in until she saw the laptop. According to Hobbs, her face changed the second they hit play. Her smug smile dropped. She went silent, then tried to laugh it off, saying, "Oh, that? That was just a joke between me and my husband. We were going to prank Callie." But the officers weren't buying it. She didn't have much to say after that, Hobbs told me. She knew she was caught. That image, my aunt, pale-faced and fumbling for excuses, gave me more peace than any revenge post ever could. I didn't need to yell or prove myself online. I had proof now, real, hard evidence, and the police had seen it. What made it better was that she didn't expect me to fight back. She thought I'd cry and disappear. She never imagined I'd go to the cops, or that the little camera she installed would turn on her. That was the best part. Her own plan betrayed her. I didn't want to ruin her life. I just wanted my truth back. And now it was out there, not in front of the whole world yet, but in front of the people who mattered. The law knew, and soon, the rest of my family would too. This wasn't just a win, it was a shift. I wasn't the quiet niece anymore. I was the one who stood up, and for once, she had to sit down and watch. The truth always finds a way to rise, even when it takes time. After the police confronted Aunt Sharon with the footage, everything started to unravel. Word spread quickly through the family. I didn't post anything or make some big announcement. I didn't have to. Somehow, everyone started whispering. My cousin Troy stopped posting those vague quotes about family loyalty and trust being hard to get back. He didn't text me. He didn't apologize. He just disappeared from my life. And honestly, I didn't mind. Then, a few days later, my phone buzzed with a voicemail. It was Maddie. Her voice shook through the message. "Callie, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to think when Aunt Sharon said those things. I should have said something. I just didn't want to get in trouble. But I believe you. I always did. Please call me back." I cried when I heard it. Not because it fixed everything, but because it reminded me that not everyone turned away out of cruelty. Some just froze. Some didn't know how to stand up. And Maddie, she was just a kid still. I could forgive that. Later that evening, my dad came to my room. He looked older than usual, tired like he hadn't been sleeping. He sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the floor for a long time. "I failed you," he said softly. "When your mum told me what Sharon said, I believed her. I didn't even ask you your side, and that's on me. I didn't say much. I just let the silence sit between us. I needed more than words, but still, hearing him say it meant something. But the silence from Jesse? That said everything I needed to know. He never reached out. No text, no call, no, 'Hey, I'm sorry for doubting you.' Nothing. He'd once promised he believed in me, that he'd stand by me. But when things got hard, when it really counted, he vanished. I stared at our old messages one night, rereading the sweet things he used to say. And then, with no anger and no drama, I blocked his number. Just like that. Not out of spite, but because I finally saw the truth. This whole thing showed me who was really in my corner, who loved me, and who only loved the version of me that stayed quiet and easy. Losing some people hurt, but knowing who truly cared, that was the real win. And I wasn't going to waste another second chasing the wrong ones. It didn't take long for Aunt Sharon's carefully crafted image to crumble. Once the police revealed the footage and word got out, the same people she used to gossip with stopped returning her calls. Her church group, where she was once seen as a pillar of generosity and grace, slowly turned their backs on her. They didn't come out and say it to her face, But the silence was loud. Invitations stopped. Side eyes started. People talked behind her back, in the same way she once talked about others. Even her closest friend from church, Miss Linda, told my mum. We all saw the tape. There's no defending that. That poor girl. Sharon tried to do damage control. She told people it was a misunderstanding, that maybe the camera was glitchy, that she was just confused when she made the accusation. But everyone knew, and no one was buying it. The biggest blow came from her own husband, Keith. He didn't say much publicly, but one day, he packed a few bags and moved in with his brother for a while. That's what he told the neighbors anyway. But word spread fast. People said he was ashamed, said he didn't want to be associated with what she did. I later heard from Maddie that Sharon cried for days after he left. She sat in the living room with the curtains drawn, the house silent, not even the TV on. For a woman who once made herself the center of every family gathering, every phone call, every holiday, she suddenly had no one. I didn't celebrate her pain, but I didn't feel sorry either. She did this to herself. The same manipulation she used on me, to shame me, to isolate me, came back around. And now she was the one left out, alone. Some nights, I wondered what she was thinking, if she regretted it, if she missed me, if she ever really loved me at all. But mostly, I just felt free. She wanted to break me with a lie. Instead, her truth broke her world. And for once, she had no one to blame but herself. I didn't want to destroy Aunt Sharon. I wanted her to understand what she did to me. And more than that, I wanted to make sure it never happened to anyone else. After everything came out, the video, the truth, the embarrassment, everyone expected me to press criminal charges. Officer Hobbs even asked me twice if I wanted to go that route. But I said no. It wasn't about putting her behind bars. It was about making her feel what she made me feel. Small, powerless, and exposed. So I filed a civil lawsuit instead. My lawyer, Mr. Avery, said we had a solid case for emotional distress and slander. The video was undeniable evidence. The months of Sharon spreading lies about me were documented in texts, emails, and even a voicemail she accidentally left on my cousin Maddie's phone. We had everything we needed. Sharon didn't fight very hard in court. Her lawyer looked tired. She looked tired. Maybe she knew there was no winning. Maybe she didn't want the humiliation dragged out even more. Either way, the court ruled in my favor. I was awarded a modest settlement, not life-changing money, but enough to pay for some therapy sessions, cover my school expenses for a while, and remind her that lies come with a cost. But the best part, the judge ordered her to write a formal apology letter, not a half-hearted sorry or a backhanded excuse, a real, written apology, acknowledging what she did, taking responsibility. No drama, no deflection. Weeks later, the letter arrived in a plain envelope, my name on the front in her familiar handwriting. I opened it slowly, heart racing, even though I didn't know why. The letter was 2 pages long. Sharon admitted to making a poor and deeply regrettable decision. She said she was trying to teach a lesson, but didn't realize how much damage it would cause. She admitted she knew I hadn't stolen the ring. Even before she made the accusation, she called it a moment of weakness. I read the whole thing once. No tears, no shaking, just a strange calm. Then I folded the letter up, walked into the kitchen, and tossed it in the trash. Because I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her words to heal. The moment I chose to fight back, with truth, with silence, with justice, was the moment I won, quietly, completely. Months passed, and life moved on. But I wasn't the same girl who arrived at Aunt Sharon's house that spring break. I had been through fire, and instead of turning to ash, I came out steel. I changed my major to pre-law. The whole experience showed me how powerful truth can be, and how dangerous lies are when people stay silent. I wanted to help others fight back like I did, not with shouting, not with anger, but with proof, with patience, and with the kind of justice that stays with people long after the courtroom doors close. My college friends noticed the difference. I was still me, still warm and kind, but now I had edges. I didn't let people in so quickly. I didn't believe every smile or trust every word. And I wasn't ashamed of that. Trust, I'd learned, is something earned, not handed out like candy. My parents apologized over and over, especially my dad. He admitted he should have stood by me from the beginning. And while I forgave him, I never forgot how fast he turned cold. That memory stayed, quiet, sharp, a reminder. Jesse never came back. He didn't call, didn't text, didn't even send a message through a friend. And that silence, it told me everything I needed to know. I never chased him. I never missed him. I deserved better, and I was finally okay with being alone, if that's what it took to find someone real. As for Aunt Sharon, she shows up at family events sometimes, still wearing pearls, still trying to pretend, but when our eyes meet across the room, I just smile. Not a fake smile, a knowing one, because she knows. I know. She tried to break me, but she built me instead. And the best revenge I ever got wasn't loud. It didn't come with screaming or slamming doors. It came with silence, with facts, with truth standing so tall, no lie could touch it. I walk into every room a little stronger now. And when people ask why I chose law, I just say, because sometimes the truth needs a voice, and I finally found mine. Do you think Callie was right to take the quiet path to justice, or should she have exposed her aunt publicly for what she did? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if stories like this move you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment.